Right. The next bit of the session, to start that, we will say once again, Namo Tassa, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. When we usually do a program like this, and when we walk on the path that the Blessed One has taught us, he has given 5 factors with which we will have to support the practice. And the 5 factors are morality supportive factor, listening supportive factor, discussion supportive factor, concentration supportive factor, and the insight supportive factor. Of these 5 factors, we have done the last 2, which is the concentration and insight supportive factor, to the best of our ability. This time is for the second and the third, which is listening and the discussion supportive factor. Morality supportive factor, we are trying to be as moral as possible when we live our day-to-day life. So to provide the listening supportive factor, now for some time we have selected the topic. The topic is the pathway to Nibbana. And the pathway to Nibbana has been given very precisely in the 4 foundations of mindfulness discourse. And from that discourse, we have discussed quite a few aspects of the discourse. So if I just refresh what we have discussed so far, the Blessed One has delivered this talk in a commercial town called Kammasadhamma in a province or in a state in India, of which the name is Kuru. So if you Google Kuru dynasty, there are a lot of information about it in the internet. So in that dynasty or in that kingdom, this commercial town has been very famous. One is because it's a commercial town, and the other it's a spiritual area as well, because the people who have been living there have been trying their level best to find a suitable path for liberation. And they have been practicing this in many different ways, but they haven't had a definitive success in it. So therefore, when the Blessed One came, he found out that these people are so keen. So he decided, for such people, I should give a direct path. And then he has delivered this discourse. When he was delivering the discourse, they have Blessed One has straight away called this community as bhikkhus. Bhikkhus means those who are trying to walk on the path. It's not those who are wearing saffron robe and shaven head, but anyone who is trying to walk on the path is bhikkhu, right? And it is something that the Blessed One himself has confirmed when he said, Attapurisa Puggalo, Yadidang Chattari, Attapurisa Puggalo. Attapurisa Puggalo means 8 types of persons. Those 8 types of persons are those who are trying to be stream winner, so on. and those who have attained stream entry. And then the next third one is those who are walking to be Sakurdagami, or the once returner, and those who have attained once returner stage. And then the next one is those who are walking on the path to non-return, and those who have attained non-return, and then those who are walking on the arahantship, and those who have attained arahantship. Those are the 8 categories of people, or 4 pairs. So since we are here, at least in the first category, we are trying to attain the stream winner stage, so we can be considered as bhikkhus. So Blessed One therefore straight away call this community as bhikkhus, because they are so keen in gaining some liberation. And then after calling them bhikkhus, Blessed One did not straight away give this is 4 foundations of mindfulness. What he said was, there is only one path. It's one and only path for the purification of beings and the settlement of sorrow and lamentation and extinguishing of sorrow and grief, and then attaining the highest knowledge and attaining the Nibbana. There is only one path, and that path is only one way. And we have discussed how the beings will be purified, and beings will be purified when you walk on this path. First, removing their transgressional defilements. The transgressional defilements are those defilements where when you do something bad, or when you do some act, or when you speak some word, you know that it is bad, and the rest of the world is also aware that you have done something or said something like that. So simply breaking 5 precepts is falling into that category. So if you observe precepts, then you purify yourself in the transgressional defilement. And when you in fact practice, the transgressional defilements during the time you practice is 100% perfected, 100% completed. And then comes the next stage of purification, or next stage of defilement, which we call obsessional defilements. They are the habits we have. We are so much obsessed with them. That is, although you don't break any precept, you have the desire to go and eat more, to go and dress well, to go for a party, to listen to a song, to watch a movie. So you have those defilements, obsessions within you. The desire is there. And that's another layer of defilements. Those defilements, there are 5 categories of those defilements. Those defilements, only you know. The rest of the world is not aware of those defilements, right? So Blessed One said, even those defilements can be purified when you walk on the path. So if you see when you practice, those defilements are coming up, which means now you are aware that I have this type of defilements. You have desire within you, you have hatred within you, you have sleepiness within you, you have skeptical doubts within you, you are a bit more agitated to do things in the future, you are worrying about the past. Those type of things are the obsessional defilements or the habitual defilements. And the next category of defilements are underlying tendencies or mental corruptions, even you don't know. Those defilements are so shrewd, what do you call, defeating, and they are so cunning, even you will not be able to recognize them as defilements. Only a noble friend, someone who is listening to what you say, will be able to identify that it's defilement. Say, for example, he is a good practitioner. He says, I feel for the next 3 months, I feel investing my time in helping other people. People are so much suffering, and most of the people don't have even anything to eat these days, especially in Sri Lanka. So I should invest my time instead of practice to raise fund to help those people, which means you stop your practice, right? And you do something else, which looks at its face value is a good thing. But what it does is it takes you away from the practice. So to that extent, it's a defilement. That's an underlying tendency, mental corruption, and our mind is cheating us. So which we in Sinhala call Anusaya Keles. So there are lots and lots of like that, and we have discussed that in detail. And then we have also discussed how this what you call sorrow and lamentation and sorrow and grief are eradicated when you walk on the path. And then the Blessed One, after talking about these advantages of following the path, then he mentioned when you walk on the path, and this one and only way is having 4 parts. The 4 parts are the 4 parts or the 4 stages. The 4 stages are: you will have to observe the body as body. You will have to observe the feelings or the sensations as sensations. You have to observe the mind as mind. You will have to observe the phenomena as phenomena. So which way, when we observe those things, the Blessed One gave not just those 4 pillars or 4 stages or 4 signposts. He gave the qualitative requirements at what level you have got to do this. What quality has to be there when you observe your body as body, when you observe your sensations as sensations, when you observe your mind as mind. The qualities he gave were, in Pali they call atapi, which means the energy, the attempt, effort that you take to eradicate defilements. So, atapi means it's the energy that you exert to eradicate defilements. So you will have to observe the body in such a way that you eradicate defilements, not that you generate more and more defilements about the body, right? Not that you hate your body. Without hating, without falling more and more attached to body, you will have to observe the body in such a way that you move away from the body, or you understand the body as body in a way that you will reduce the attachment to the body, in a way that you will not generate or increase hatred towards the body. That we call the energy factor that is required, energy quality that is required to observe the body as body, and it is applicable even for the other 3 as well. And he gave another quality, which is clear comprehension led by mindfulness. We call it Sampajano Satima. Clear comprehension led by mindfulness means when you keep on observing, when you become more and more mindful, what happens is you start seeing things that you have not seen in the past. Your mind was not with the body in the past. Now your mind has come to the body. When the mind comes to the body, the entire body is open for you. And not only that, entire mind is also open to you now, right? So when these 2 processes are faced with the mindfulness, you start seeing the reality. You start seeing the changing nature of the mind, changing nature of mind as well as the body. You start seeing the uncontrollable nature of the mind and the body. That's the reality. And you see that reality. Seeing that reality is called the clear comprehension. You see it vividly, you see it so clearly. It is called clear comprehension or sampajana. And how that happens is because of your mindfulness. So therefore they call it sampajana satima, which means clear comprehension led by mindfulness. And then he gave another quality, which means vinayaloke abhijja domanasam. And the meaning of that is you become more and more disciplined when you observe the body. You become more and more disciplined when you observe the sensation. You become more and more disciplined when you observe the mind. You become more and more disciplined when you observe the phenomena. Discipline where? Discipline in this world. What is the world? The world where there is greed and hatred. Right? There is so much of greed and hatred in the world. In such a world, you become disciplined just because you observe these things. So these three qualitative factors should be there when you observe the body, when you observe the sensation, when you observe the mind, when you observe the phenomena. And then after explaining that it has to be done in that way, then only Blessed One takes one by one. So he has taken how to observe the body first, and then he has given 14 techniques to observe the body. Of the 14 techniques, I think we have discussed about 4. The first technique he has given is observing the main component, main important factor of the body, which is the breath. And that is what we do in our sitting practice. We try to observe the breath. And in observing the breath, he has mentioned the gradual evolution of the breath. You start observing your natural breath as it comes in and as it goes out, and you start feeling the gross breath. And when you keep on observing the gross breath, it becomes subtler. It becomes very subtle. It becomes even more subtle, and it goes to the subtlest layer. And even in the subtlest layer, you keep on observing. And when you get to this stage, your mind is almost with the breath. So where is this breath happening? It does not happen outside. The breathing is happening within you. So with that subtle breath, your mind is now in the body, right? So when the mind is in the body, you may, when the breath becomes subtler, you may start seeing the body more than the breath. So therefore, the Blessed One says, when you keep on observing the breath, at a certain stage, you may start feeling the whole body. And some says it is the whole body means start of the breath and the progress of the breath and end of the breath. That is also one way of explaining. And if you observe that way, you start feeling the whole body. And while feeling the whole body, you become more and more calmer, more and more get settled with the body. And then it comes to a stage, even these feelings of the whole body become subtler. It also, initially you start observing the body in a gross manner, and then you keep on observing, and that also becomes subtler, and it goes to a level, you know that you are observing the body, but you don't feel the breath or you don't feel anything else. You know that you are living and you are with the body. Right? So that is the first stage of the observing the breath. And then in the second one, the Blessed One says, you cannot be live like that your life. You can't 24/7 keep your right hand on the left and keep your eyes closed and upright and sit. You may have to go to toilet. You may have to go and eat and drink and do other things. So when you do those things, still you can be mindful. You can be aware of your standing posture. You can be aware of your sitting posture. You can be aware of your sleeping posture. You can be aware of your walking posture. So anything when you do, there are postures, observe those postures. So now what he is trying to do he's bringing that skill that we have gained in observing the breath. He has taken that skill and now he's trying to spread that skill to the other day-to-day activities. He's bringing that skill of mindfulness to the normal activities, to the normal life. So first he starts with the postures, and then when we are familiar with the postures, he is introducing another technique which we call Sampajanya Pabba. And in that Sampajanya Pabba, what he is saying is not only the postures, even in the postures, there are sub postures. When you walk, not just walking. When you are walking forward, be aware that you are walking forward. When you are coming back, be aware you are coming back. When you are looking sideways, you be aware that you are looking right side. When you look left side, you be aware that you are looking left side. When you're looking forward, be aware that you're looking forward. So any something that you do, just be aware of it. And he has gone to such an extent to observe even our urination and defecation. He has been so kind to give so much of details to bring the mindfulness to day-to-day living and to introduce that as a practice, not for those who are living in monasteries, but for anybody, any human being who is trying to and willing to practice. You can take this as a normal way of living, right? So once this is introduced, Blessed One has brought the mindfulness to the normal way of living. So up to that point we discussed in the previous session. So this session, I don't know whether Chato is having the next section. The next section is we are today supposed to talk on, first we will talk about the repulsiveness of the body. So if you can read that part. Yeah. I think this
Again, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu reviews this same body up from the soles of his feet and down from the top of the hair, bounded by skin, as full of many kinds of impurity. Thus, in this body there are head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidney, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, contents of the stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints, and urine, just as though they were a bag with an opening at both ends full of many sorts of grains, such as hill rice, red rice, beans, peas, millet, and white rice, and a man with good eyes were to open it and review it thus. This is hill rice, this is red rice, these are beans, these are peas, this is millet, this is white rice. So too, a bhikkhu reviews the same body up from the soles of the feet and down from the top of the hair, bounded by skin, as full of many kinds of impurity. Thus, in this body there are head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, contents of the stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints, and urine. In this way, should I keep going? I think this. Okay. In this way, he abides contemplating the body as body internally.
Yeah, no, we will take that. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Chatuputa. So that is the reflection on repulsiveness of the body, or the contemplation of the repulsiveness of the body, as the Blessed One has delivered, as the Blessed One has explain. So if you take bit more details about it, and one thing that you observe here is the Blessed One is introducing this as a contemplation or the reflection, right? And all what he has given is, and some says there are 32, some says there are 31. I'm not going to argue on that. The number is not important. What is important is he's giving all these yucky parts in the body, right? So why he is doing is something that we should understand. When we practice, when we take our mind so much into our body, our body, you get more and more close to the body. Before bringing our mind to the body, our mind was wandering all over the universe. We were not aware of what our body had. But when we bring our mind to the body, you may start feeling these things. You may start seeing these things. One thing that I have heard from most of the practitioners is that they say when you keep on practicing, they gather a lot of saliva in their mouth, right? It just gets accumulated. So it's something that has been happening even earlier, but they have never noticed. Now you stop everything and don't do anything and try to keep observe your breath, but instead you have so much of liquid in your mouth, right? And for a lot of people it is very yucky, and you don't even feeling and talking about it. And that is one thing. And for some people I have heard, when they sit and practice, tears start coming, right? For one or the other reason, tears start coming. And even that is not something something that they expect, something that they like. And some other people have told they start having phlegm falling from their head into the mouth, and some start having what do you call, what do you get from the nose? What do you call it? Snot. Yes, is coming out when they start practicing. And for some people, even I have experienced sometimes, you start smelling your own body. We have, we have never felt our own body odor because our mind has been somewhere else. But when your mind gets closer to the body, you start smelling your bad smell of your body, and sometimes even the inside smell is also being observed, right? Why this is happening? This is happening because your mind is more and more close to the body. The Blessed One says, hold on. It's just few things that you have observed, but when your mind comes to the body, there are 32 things that you will see in this body. And I remember once in the temple, long time back, one of the aunties said, Puta, mam bhavana karaddi, mata skeleton ekak pena. So mind goes so much into the body, and you may feel, you may, I don't know how she sees skeleton, whether she's visualizing it or not, I don't know. But there's a possibility that you feel those things when your mind goes into the body. And none of these things are very pleasant, very unpleasant things, right? So there is a possibility that you will stop the practice and go and live the life in the normal manner, right? So for that, the Blessed One has brought the mind of the people to such an extent to observe even minute postures in the body. He has brought our attention even to the urination and defecation, and that itself is yaki. So now he will have to make the mind of the people, right? And then he says, hang on, these things are there. If they are there, what you will have to do is, you just can't be mindful, you just contemplate that our body consists of those things. And the main reason for that is, we have never considered our hair, our skin, our teeth, our whatever body hair these things we never considered as something unpleasant, something repulsive. We have been writing beautiful poems about hair. We have been writing beautiful songs about our eyes, beautiful songs about our teeth, and teeth have been um, identified and exemplified as pearls, and so much values have been given. And I remember when I went to Goenkaji's retreat, Goenkaji says, if your if your teeth is so much valuable and it is so praised as a pearl, when tooth comes out, don't throw it, keep it in your mouth. Right? And we don't do that. It's no one else's tooth, our own tooth. So long as it is there, so long as it is together, it is appreciable. But as soon as it is removed, has come out, you throw everything. And he also gives another nice example. And husband sees wife's hair, and when everything is together, he's praising, oh, you have such a beautiful hair. And one of these grass is falling in the rice or the curry, and he's throwing the entire plate away. And he says, if it is so beautiful, when it is there and when it is with your food, it is so much tasty and you should eat it. But the Blessed One, what the Blessed One says is, those things will happen. Those things will be coming to your attention. When they are within your attention, don't get excited. Don't start hatred. He simply says, contemplate the repulsive nature of the body. Right? This is how my body is. Right? And also, it may be another reason when he was preaching that crowd, and that crowd may have had people from different professions, right? And especially those who are in the medical field, right? And for them, when they see such a thing, they will feel bad because they know when they are practicing, their attention is in the body, and when they see something like that, this is in my body as well, they may generate some hatred towards their own body. And it has happened during Buddha's practice. Some people have, some monks have practiced only this repulsive nature of the body. And once the Blessed One came from the rains retreat, and he found that there are no monks in the monastery. When he asked Venerable Ananda what happened to the monks, the Venerable Ananda has said everyone committed suicide because they have been practicing repulsive nature of the body. They have generated so much of hatred. And there have been another monk who has been so interested in collecting robes and the begging bowl, and he has been asked to, he has offered himself that if you want to die, I will help you. And he has helped all these monks, and they have allowed him to kill the monks, and the monks have died, and he takes a robe and the begging bowl, and the monks have vanished. The reason is they have generated hatred towards the body, right? So therefore, the Blessed One is introducing this only when you have observed the deep layer of mindfulness through uh, observing breath, and then bringing it to the postures, and then bringing it to the sub postures and other aspects of the life. Only you will be observing or contemplating on this, right? And you will have to keep in mind that it is something that should be done when you have the right conditions to do it. The right conditions to do it means being lay people, it is not recommended to do this on its own, right? For lay person, we don't have the right conditions. The right conditions are if you are completely secluded, if you are a monk and if you have your teacher with you all the time, then there is no problem doing this. Otherwise, because this is a very high protein technique, right? You don't give small children high protein, right? For you to take high protein, should be someone like him or someone above 17, 18. They can take high protein and build their muscles. They have the ability to absorb. But for small children, they can't do it. When they're 6 or 7 years old, you don't give high protein. Be given only suitable things. So likewise, even this is a very high protein thing. For it to be taken, you will have to have the right condition. And even if you have the right conditions, the Blessed One says, it is better for us to take something experientiable rather than something imaginary. This is, it is repulsive. We know that our body is constituting these things, but we can't experience that. We will have to visualize, we will have to imagine about it, and then condition ourselves to it. Instead, you have something which you can experience without any effort, which is your breath, which is your posture. Just do that, and that alone will take you on the path. So the reason why he has therefore introduced this is, there may have been people who have been using it before Blessed One came into preaching this discourse. So therefore, just to include that, he has included it. And today I know there are places where they do this practice before doing Anapana. It is not something that the Blessed One has mentioned in the Sutta. And this is just another technique, that's all. And it starts saying, monks, there is another way to be mindful. And why he is introducing another idea here without our knowledge. When you contemplate your body in this manner, is indicating that you will have to do in a certain way. And that certain way is that bag of grain, right? A man with good eyesight opens the bag and he says, okay, this is rice. He's taking the rice portion and keeping separately. This is mung beans. He's taking that and keeping it separately. This is cowpea. He's taking that and keeping it separately. And this is pea, taking and keeping it separately. This is sesame seed, taking it and keeping it separately. What does it mean is, we contemplate hair. So you take our hair and keep it separately. You take our body hair and keep it separately. You take our skin and keep it separately. You take our flesh and keep it separately. Take our nerve system or whatever and keep it separately. Like that, you take these 32 parts and take one by one and separate it. And at the end of the practice, you feel there is no person. These yucky things are wrapped with the skin, and it has been decorated with hair, head hair and body hair and nails and things like that. There is no person. So indirectly, he is indicating that there is no person. So if a new practice, if your saliva is gathering, and if yucky things are feeling, then it is something that is coming out of your body, because there is no person controlling these things. These are there, right? So he's quietly introducing another viewpoint to the practitioner, right? So it is therefore contemplation, not knowing. In all other things, from observation of breath to observation of clear comprehension, the word Blessed One has used is knowing. But here he is not using the word knowing, because you can't know it. You can't go to your body and see your liver and the heart and the brain and the things like that. It's just a reflection, right? Okay. And then can you take the other part of that, the next section? And can I pass this as well?
In this way, he abides contemplating the body as body internally, or he abides contemplating the body as a body externally, or he abides contemplating the body as body both internally and externally, or else he abides contemplating in the body its nature of arising, or he abides contemplating in the body its nature of vanishing, or he abides contemplating in the body its nature of both arising and vanishing, or else mindfulness that there is a body is simply established in him to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and mindfulness, and he abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That is how a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as body.
Yeah, no, I mean the other part. After that, there's another section.
Yep. Again, because a bhikkhu reviews this same body, however it is placed, however disposed, as consisting of elements. Thus, in this body there are the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element, just as though a skilled butcher or his apprentice had killed a cow and was seated at the crossroads with it cut up into pieces. So too, a bhikkhu reviews this same body, however it is placed, however disposed, as consisting of elements. Thus, in this body there are the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element.
Yeah, that's it. Right. So here is again another contemplation, and this contemplation, and it's the ultimate physics here, right? The Blessed One has now started thin slicing our body, our form, taken our mind through breathing, through the respiration into the body, and then he has taken our attention to the ways we dispose this body, in other words, postures, and he has taken our attention to the semi postures within the postures, and in that manner, he has thin sliced our body as well as the body when we do certain things, right? And then he has given an opportunity for us to see if we feel anything within the body, right? When you keep on observing in this manner, when you keep on reflecting on the body in this manner, your way of looking at the body changes. You don't worry about saliva getting collected. You don't worry about the smell that is coming out. You don't worry about the sweat that is happening. You don't worry about the tears falling down. You don't worry about anything that is happening. You just reflect it as it is. As a result, you neither like them nor dislike them, right? You don't identify this as a hand, this as eye, this as nose, this as your skin, or this as your belly, or this as your chest. You just keep on observing whatever that comes to your mind, and whatever that comes to your attention. And in that manner, when your attachment reduces, when your attachment subsides to the constituents of the body, your body starts showing that you are no longer love this body. You are no longer attracted to this body. And how it is being shown is, body is showing its own nature. So when you keep on practicing, as I said earlier, if you feel the saliva collecting or phlegm falling from your head, which means you start seeing the liquid nature of this body. This body is made of some certain things of the body made of liquid, and those liquid nature of the body can be observed. And some people, when they practice, they just fall down, they just bend down in the posture. That is because they completely have given up that this is a body which can be kept upright, and it completely gets swallowed into that nature of flowing. Liquid nature of the liquid is flowing. One nature is the flowing. And like that, there are four basic elements of this body. Blessed One has mentioned those four basic elements. The first element is the earth element. And earth element does not mean earth. Earth element does not mean soil. Earth element means the characteristics of the soil or the characteristics of the earth. So what are the characteristics of the earth element? It has the heaviness on one hand, and on the other hand, it has the lightness. So when you practice, if you feel heavy, which means earth element. If you feel light, that is also earth element. And also another quality of the earth element is you may feel roughness or the softness. Earth element, if you take your body, there are certain sections of your body which are very rough when you touch, and certain other sections of the body very soft when you touch. So that is also earth element. And there is another element, another quality of the earth element. You may feel, did I mention heaviness? Yeah, heaviness and lightness, and roughness and softness. And there is another element which I don't remember exactly. And like that, if you take the earth, water element or the liquid element, one characteristic of the liquid element is the flowing characteristics, and the other characteristic of the water element is cohesiveness, right? It has the ability to bind things together. So for example, if you put water onto the floor, it just flows. But if you put water into clay or water into flour, it makes all the flour, instead of flowing, it makes all the flour together, right? It has that cohesive nature in the water element. So that is the characteristics of the water element or the liquid element. And in the heat element, the characteristics is, on one hand it is cold, and on the other it is warm, right? So both these characteristics are the qualities of the or the nature of the heat element. And what's the last one? Air element. The air element characteristic is it has the ability to hold on one hand, and on the other hand, it has the ability to blow it away, right? So that is why when there is wind, everything is moving around. And at the same time, if you take the entire world is on air. The earth is not hooked onto anything. It is just being held by air. And similarly, our body is having so much of air, and each and every little particle of our body is on air. That is why when you keep on observing your respiration, when your mind goes into the body, when you feel the whole body, you don't feel just one unit. You feel very little particles that are working in the body, right? So that is because everything is on air, right? So that has that nature. So these things, you may start experiencing these things when you practice. You may feel that your body is being crushed inside, right? When the mind goes in, that is because of this water element is trying to put everything together, like baker is trying to put all the flour together with water, trying to prepare a bun. He will have to mix everything like that. You may feel inside. Or you may feel that you just fall down, right? It just flows. And some people may feel that they are within a balloon, so much of air, and you are in that, or you are covered with air. Or some people may feel, in fact, today, all these were given in the morning session. We had a morning session for group in Sri Lanka. And they were saying that when they were practicing, they have not practiced for long. They said when they were practicing, they just fall down. When they are walking even, their upper part of the body is bending down. It is understandable. When you sit, you feel it. No, they experience that even while walking. Upper part of the body is falling down, right? And two of them said when they are doing the sitting practice, heat is coming from the ears and the body. That is because mind has gone so much into the body, and they start seeing how this body is being made of ultimate elements of the physics can be experienced. When those things are happening, Blessed One, what he simply says is, don't go and see a doctor. There is nothing wrong with you. Just contemplate that it is heat. Just contemplate that it is coldness. Just contemplate that you are falling. Just contemplate that you feel a cohesive nature inside. Just contemplate that you feel roughness. And the other thing I forgot was hardness. In the earth element, you have the hardness. When sometimes I remember Ammi said, long time ago, when she was talking to me about her practice. When she practices, she feels like a rock. That is because when the mind goes to the body, we feel that earth element. That comes because of our greed. We are trying to hold it as tight as possible. Then you feel the earth element in the body, hardness, right? So likewise, if you feel those things, that is again another way that you can contemplate on the body. Just contemplate, just accept it as it is, right? It is on one hand a contemplation, taking as a visualization and taking as an imagination and contemplate. And on the other hand, it is something that is experienceable as well, right? So even here, the Blessed One, what he is trying to finally do is, he has taken our ability to thin slice our body with the sharpened mind, right? He has gone to the very basic form of the form, very basic nature of the form, right? You cannot divide form any further, right? If you go any further, what happens is not that you cannot, when you keep on observing further, what happens is you will go even beyond this. You will see just energy. When you keep on contemplating, when you keep on observing, all this will be experienced, will be observed as a flow of energy, right? So it has been explained in another discourse called Dhatu Vibhanga discourse. It's a further advancement of this particular section of Satipatthana Sutta. And even here, very clearly, he's mentioning that in a four-cornered junction, cow is cut and things are placed in different places. It's not a good example, but what he's simply trying to say is, when you see this in this manner, you don't see a person, you don't see a body. That is why he's taking that example and very clearly saying, you can't see a cow now, right? Different parts of the cow is there. And similarly, when you observe our body in this manner, we have heat, we have air, we have water, liquid nature, we have earth element. That's all, right? So, okay. So with that, I will conclude my talk for today and open up for any questions if you have. Right. Do you want to say anything? Yeah.
Not really. I think it was a lot to
Grasp on the first day.
once.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, just don't worry too much about what you say. Just keep on practicing. Then it will fall into line. And one thing that we should remember is when we listen to a talk, if there is something you understand, you understand. If you don't understand it, don't try to understand. Just forget it. And we will be in our talks, we won't be talking anything new. We will be repeating the same thing over and over again. Right? Then there will have a point. You will understand that. Right? Then only you see, ah, hmm, today only I heard it. And she has told many times things like that. I have heard that plenty of times in the past. But she, but she has heard only the day she's telling me. It's the same thing. Right. Do you have anything, Chatu? Or,
Any questions from the online?
There is not many participants online. There is only one of our friends in there, so we can.
So this is a summary of my retreat from last year when I went to Dhammagiri, and then also what happened afterwards. I was having some discussions with Ajahn Brahmasya, and after that he said, he asked me a question. He asked, does the pain disappear? And my response at the time was, yes, it could, but it could reappear at any time. So it was not disappearing permanently to some extent. Anyway, it was a fair question, and my objective during that retreat was to make sure I did nothing. Like I was not there to do anything. My objective was to do nothing. But because he asked me, I thought I might as well just have a look. I didn't think it hurt to have some investigation. So when I re-looked at pain during subsequent sitting sessions, I could see that it was very small, but the reaction that I was having to the pain was like really big. Like I felt like the world was on fire. This tiny little pain happening, and so I was looking at it again and again, and I found that when I looked at that, what was happening there, the pain at one particular time, the pain dissolved, and what I can sort of only describe is it dissolved into energy. I don't have any other words for it. In subsequent activities, I could see more characteristics of the energy. In a low pain situation, it would appear like a fuzzy television screen. And in a medium pain situation, it would be like someone was lightly tracing their finger over my body or skin. And in a high pain situation, it would be like a pulse or sort of something happening quickly. After the retreat, I observed the energy further, and I found that when I looked at at the energy, there'll be a tendency of it to disappear. I checked. I also did a little experiment where I had a heavy object and I dropped it on my foot. So I wanted to test it anyway. So I dropped it and I was ready and I knew it was going to hurt. So the first thing that happened was the pain, and then dissolved into energy, and then it disappeared. And within like maybe 2-3 seconds sort of time frame. But I find that I think I have to actively look, like I have to be ready. If I'm not ready and something happens, like I just see pain like as pain normally, and it doesn't change into energy or disappear. And I think I also need to go back to retreat timetable to actually like do a further investigation, because I don't experience enough pain to do like validate it, I guess. And the only other thing I'd say is that I've seen both of these before, energy and the disappearance of the pain or the energy in the past. but I didn't know actually how to communicate it or really like investigate it further. So it's not something specifically new, I'd say.
Right. So that's just a report.
Yeah.
Yeah. That report, the first thing I heard was that you have gone with the objective.
The objective is no objective technically. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not to do anything.
Yes.
Don't have an objective, even not to have an objective. Right? Just go and relax and just assume that you are going on a holiday and enjoy it. Right? So because having that sort of an energy or the determination is good on one hand, because then you ensure that you are directed to the right path. And sometimes if you overdo it and if you overemphasize on it, it may agitate you as well, right? So therefore, just go with the idea, I will take whatever that comes. I'm going to do the practice, and suppose I have had days, I go for the practice there, and Bante here has arranged some working bee or something. So no practice, you do the working. And some days you go, okay, I will do walking this way, sitting this way, and the whole day it rains. So you can't do any walking, right? So you will have to go with a mindset, whatever that comes, I will turn it into my advantage and be happy with it, right? But having said that, no harm has been done. And the next thing that you are mentioning is about the pain. Having the pain, and you have given a lot of information about pain, you have observed the pain in the right manner, and you have been able to observe the pain until the pain turns into an energy, right? So if you observe the pain in the right manner, what happens is, just give me a second, let her finish. Right. What happens is your attitude towards the pain change, right? The pain means we just a little while ago we were talking about earth element, liquid element, heat element, and the air element, right? The pain means these elements start talking, right? When you have heaviness, when you have heat, when you have the cohesiveness within the body, you feel those things as when you feel those things. I'm sorry. When you feel those things, you either like or dislike. That liking or disliking is what is identified, what is understood as the pain, right? So what you are saying here is you had the pain, it's sort of heat sort of a pain, and you have been observing that as it is. So because you observe that as it is, the attitude that you had to dislike it is no longer getting developed. To say it's a pain, to say it's a suffering thing, you should dislike it, right? That's a reaction. And you don't react, instead you observe. When you observe it, the disliking attitude vanishes. When disliking attitude vanishes, pain is still there, but only thing is you don't perceive that as a pain. Attitude has changed, so therefore you see something is happening, and that something is happening is not something that is anymore hurting, because your mind does not take that as a hurt. Because your mind doesn't take it as a hurt, it is just another energy layer, which the mind was reading as painful, because you are disliking it. Right? What the observation does is, what your objective has done is not to do, that is the objective you had. So you don't do it and you don't do anything, you just keep on observing, keep on observing, keep on observing. and it turns into an energy. You use the word energy because you did not find any other term, that is what you had written, to explain it. But there is something, right? So this is how it's very well connected to what we just discussed. This is how the basic elements of physics turn into energy. This is a gross layer of energy. The energy initially identified in this manner. And this energy now will come from the form layer, the body layer. Now that energy is now in the mental layer. When the energy goes into the mental layer, it becomes even more subtle. Right? And you have done that experiment in 3 levels: when it is intense, when it is semi-intense, when it is very subtle. We have done it in 3 layers, right? And identified it in differently, right? And you have done a physical experiment as well, which I don't recommend. Our attention should be there. Our attention should be there when something happens. Then our mindfulness should naturally come there, right? Then you make use of mindfulness. Otherwise, you don't hang yourself to experience mindfulness, right? And some monks have done it. They have cut their throat being mindful, and they have attained arahantship. We don't want to do that, and we don't want to give that example in the society, right? So therefore, it's not necessary to do those experiments. What you are doing is right, and what your practice is going in the right manner. You have the right attitude, so just keep on doing what you are doing. Theruvan Saranai. Okay, so since you have any questions, since we don't have any more questions, I'm not quite sure whether anybody else wants to say anything. Okay. So if there are no questions from online as well, we will transfer merits and conclude the session. And we have practiced mindfulness to the best of our ability for about 2 hours, and then discussed about it in detail for about another 1 hour and a half. That has generated tremendous amount of positive energies which we can share with all the living beings who have brought this wonderful word of the Buddha to us. If there is anyone who is willing and are able to have these energies, let them have it. And there are a lot of people helping us in organizing this. Chatubuddha and a lot of other people are taking time in organizing this. May all of them have these energies as well. And our teacher, Bhante Dhammajiva, and anyone who is looking after him. And whoever who is helping us, maybe human being, non-human being, near or far, if they are rejoicing, seeing what we do, let all of them have these energies. And with that intention in our mind, we will chant the traditional stanzas. Ittavatacha. Ittavatacha ammehi sampadam punya sampadam. Sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sampadam punya sampadam. Sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sampadam punya sampadam. Sabbe sattanumodantu Akasatta cha bhummatta punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu buddha sasana. Akasatta cha bhummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu buddha desana. Akasatta cha bhummatta devanaga mahiddhika Punyantang anumoditva chiran rakantu buddha savakam. Idang ho nyate nang hotu sukita hantu nyate. Idang ho nyate nang hotu sukita hantu nyate. Idang ho nyate nang hotu sukita hantu nyate. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo. Satan samagamo hotu. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo. Satan samagamo hotu. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo. Satan samagamo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu. Teruvan Saranai, everybody.
Thank you.
Teruvan Saranai, Teruvan Saranai.